Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajachana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajachana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Krishna. So tonight we'll read from Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation, commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder of the Hare Krishna movement. And we'll be reading from chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized text 41. And this particular verse is a famous verse, but it's a verse that, one of the verses that inspired Srila Prabhupada, who's to my left here, to voyage to America, at a very advanced age, practically at the end of his life in this world. So we'll see why. So if everybody could just please repeat after me. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right, so here's the verse. Vivasayatmaka buddhire keha kurunandana bahushaka hanantascha buddhayo vivasainam. Translation. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose. So this is Krishna speaking, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, speaking to his devotee and friend Arjuna. And their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Purport. Commentary. A strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vivasayatmaka intelligence. The Chaitanya Charitamrita states, Shadha Shabde Vishvas Kahe Surador Nishchoy Krishne Bhaktir Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruit of activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. A person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to the leaves and branches, so by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. I'll stop there for now. Om Ganatipadandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanvaditam Mena Tusmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karitavachalam Pangam Langai Tegidim Yakipadamaham Vande Shri Gurundanitananam Vancha Kopadribishcha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So about being fixed in determination or fixed in our trying to achieve certain things. This verse is saying that those who are in Krishna consciousness are fixed. Their aim is one. In other words, they're not distracted by so many things. And as we all know very well, there are so many things to be distracted by in this world. Thousands, millions, billions of things to be distracted by. Means things that will help us forget Krishna or help us forget our eternal situation as lovers of God or lovers of Krishna. There's so many things that will inspire us in that forgetfulness. So a person who is advanced in Krishna consciousness or a person who is fixed, they do not have that problem. They have developed their desire to such a high degree that they don't let anything get in the way of their relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Srila Prabhupada, our grand spiritual master, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, he read this verse, and specifically he read a commentary by one great Acharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in this line. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary, was making the point that the main thing for a disciple or a student in Krishna consciousness is to consider the instructions of their spiritual teacher, their spiritual master, to be their life and soul. And of course, the instructions of the spiritual master are the instructions of Krishna. That's the parampara, or disciplic succession, that the instructions are passed down and purely in a line. So reading this further, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that it doesn't matter whether samsara ends or not, means the cycle of birth and death ends or not, for me as a disciple. And it doesn't matter if the material universe implodes or explodes or whatever. But my only concern really should be to follow the instructions of my teacher, which are the instructions of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I should make that my life and soul. And as we know from the history of Srila Prabhupada's life, his instructions from his teacher were to go to America to make lots of money. Just joking. His instructions was to go to America to give Krishna consciousness to others, to give God consciousness to others, to try to uplift humanity from ignorance and suffering and so on, by giving them the message of Bhagavad Gita, helping them understand that they are not their physical body, that they're the soul, that they have a relationship with the Supreme Soul, Krishna, that can be awakened through love and devotion, centered on the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, as we were doing earlier. So that was his instruction, and that is what he carried out. And that because he had this vyavasayatmika intelligence just fixed. He was fixed on his mission. And practically we see that he just risked his life. At very advanced age, practically the end of his life. He passed away when he was, or left this world when he was 81. This is the last 12 years of his life. And failing health and so many things going against him. Materially speaking. So yeah, we see how he practically risked his life. And because of that, there's so much Krishna consciousness, or so many wonderful temples throughout the world, and continuing, and this being one of them. Here in San Diego, sunny San Diego. It's a little rainy today, but... So, now, we may not be given such a lofty instruction that you go to a foreign country where you have no contacts or no money or practically anything, and you try to spread Krishna consciousness. We may not be given such a lofty task. But the task that all of us are given, at least if we choose to accept from the Bhagavad Gita, is that to understand that the human form of life, this human form of life, is vastly different than all the other forms of life. Tree form, so many different animals, so many aquatics right near the ocean. It's different. And the difference is the difference of inquiry. Atato Brahma Jigyasa, that the human form of life is meant for inquiry into the absolute truth. Who am I? What is the goal of life? Who is Krishna? And so on. Spiritual inquiry. Which the other species, unfortunately, cannot do. They cannot inquire, nor can they act upon that inquiry. Whereas humans, we can inquire inquire, ask questions, and we could act upon that. And that is our great good fortune. So that is everyone's task, everyone's duty as a human being, according to Bhagavad Gita, according to any authentic religious system, actually. So if one is able to understand that, then naturally one will set their priorities in a certain way. Means they will understand that I need to have spiritual priorities. Just like now it is 2026, right? 2026, okay. It is the beginning of a new year. And as we know, and maybe some of us here have done, people tend to make New Year's resolutions, right? New Year's resolutions. We were discussing this the other night at Krishna Lounge in Chula Vista. People make resolutions, and statistically speaking, a lot of them are broken within the first week. And even more are broken in the first month. And most are broken within the first 3 months. And whatever it may be, people make the resolutions based on their understanding of who they are or how they can be happy, what is success, and so on. So, of course, if we're able to understand or try to understand the message of the Bhagavad Gita, then we'll understand that our priorities should be spiritual and spiritual progress. But whatever the case is, we see people break these resolutions. So the question is why? Why do people break them? Does anybody have any idea? Like to? Okay, Javita Prabhu's hand went up quick. He could say.
Can't resist temptation.
Okay. So one is can't resist temptation. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. People, they think, okay, I'll give something up. That's it. No more chocolate bars. Done. Finished. But largely our success is based on the environment we create. If we go to Costco and load up on the 250-pack chocolate bar special at Costco, ask me how I know. I'm just joking. 250-pack chocolate bar Costco special, and we keep that nicely stocked in our home, in our kitchen. It's no surprise. 11 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, 7 a.m., whatever, before work, during work, after. So, but if we just say, okay, not keep it in the house, it makes it more easier. Makes it much easier. Doesn't sound fun though, right? Anyways, so yes, having a hard time resisting temptation, that's one of the reasons people break their resolutions. But to counteract that, again, creating a proper environment that is conducive. That's one way to, yes. Is Chad?
I was just going to say, they're not engaged in the higher pace.
Yeah, okay, so that's kind of goes together. Are you two planning this? I'm just joking. I'm joking. We didn't plan this. So one is having a hard time resisting temptation, and two, not experiencing a higher taste. They go together, that if we have a higher engagement, if we have a higher happiness, then we won't go for the lower grade happiness. Just like Just like if someone was to give us some stale Wonder Bread. You know what? Anybody know Wonder Bread here? In America, Wonder Bread somehow or other, I'm not sure exactly why, but Wonder Bread is one of the most famous and loved breads. Can you believe it? Vaishnav saying yeah. Anyways. Now, imagine you have Wonder Bread, which is, with all due respect, not the best bread, but any Wonder Bread fans out there? Just imagine you have Wonder Bread, but it's just really stale and old. It's like it's just really bad. It's stale and I don't know. We'll go so far as moldy, but stale, right? But that's all you have. And it's like, all right, well, I'm quite hungry, and this is practical, so let me just have this stale Wonder Bread, put some peanut butter on or whatever, and I'm good. But if someone was to come by and say, we just have this fresh baked bread, homemade baked bread, and then they naturally go for that. It's a higher engagement. So, yeah, part of keeping resolutions or commitments or trying to make progress in what we're trying to achieve spiritually is that to have this higher engagement or higher happiness, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. No, that's not that one. Vishya vinivartante nirahasya dehna rasavyarjam rasopya param dushtva navartate, that higher taste. So that's very important. Okay, so any other yes, Swati? Oh, sorry, sorry, I didn't see her.
No, you go ahead.
Somebody.
Go ahead.
If we haven't thought clearly what's the why behind our resolution, like we need to know why we're making that resolution and if that why is important to us or not.
Can you give an example?
Like if I'm quitting chocolate, I need to know why. Is it just because I want to lose weight? Or is it because it's something to do with my health that helps me survive this life better? Or is it because I'm progressing spiritually and I don't want to eat anything with eggs? Like what's the why behind it?
All right, that's a good reason to understand why. Why are we trying to make progress in a certain way? Or why are we trying to give something up or accept something? Yeah, I mean, part of that understanding why, or in a sense being convinced that we should move in a particular direction, that's a really important principle, that they have to be convinced. Like, if someone says, well, I just give up chocolate because, I don't know, it's just not so, I feel it's not so good for me, this and that. That's one reason that may be convincing, but if you go to the doctors and they say your blood sugar is extremely high, and if you keep on going like this, it's going to be terrible for you. You're going to suffer so many ways. And you read up on all of these things, and you say, okay, so it's about being convinced. Yes. Okay, Dhanvari.
Hare Krishna. So one point I'm thinking about is our intelligence is not, even though we know everything that it's not good for us and we need higher taste, but our intelligence is not one-pointed like Vyavasayatmika buddhi. That's why we can't control. So we need some kind of guidance or practice from other person who has tasted the nectar. Thank you. Higher taste. Thanks.
Yeah, so our intelligence may not be fixed, so we need to associate with persons and try to become encouraged by persons whose intelligence is more fixed or fixed. Yes. So in this way, we could come up with so many different reasons why people don't keep their resolutions, or why we may not keep our resolutions. But for every reason every reason why people don't keep the resolutions, there's a solution to that. And some things that I think are very important in relation to this, which everybody was saying and pointing at, was the need for good association. And it is available. Good association is available. It means association that will inspire us and encourage us in a spiritual way. Like every at the temple, there's so many activities going on, but you don't have to just be at the temple. You can make your home a temple. You could associate with people online who are interested, having group readings, for example, readings of Bhagavad Gita. There are so many different things that can be done to get that good association. It's completely available. What to speak of, practically we're in a time in the world and history where we have the most bad association available and the most good association available. The amount of lectures on Krishna that are being broadcasted daily throughout the world, I'm giving one now, or we're having a discussion now, this happened all over the world right now. And then that's just what's happening now, but what happened yesterday and what's going to happen tomorrow, and they're all being recorded and broadcasted. It's amazing. And the amount of kirtan that's going on. So we have a lot of wonderful things, or wonderful opportunities to have good association. So good association and creating an environment and ultimately trying to become more serious, because ultimately rest on that, ultimately. If one's not serious, how will they ever keep a resolution? You have to be very serious. So when we talk about making progress in spiritual life, one has to be very serious. It means you can have fun, laugh, but you have to be serious to achieve the goal. And that seriousness can be just like a fire, or a fire can be built up over time. So similarly, that seriousness can grow, and it should grow over time. Our seriousness to practice Krishna consciousness, or our desire to love Krishna. So that's the idea. So we have so many wonderful examples, starting with Srila Prabhupada and his disciples and grand disciples and so on. So we should try to avail ourselves of the good association and in this way make progress and become fixed in our resolution to be Krishna conscious. Okay, does anybody have any question or comment? Yes, she has a question. Pass her the mic.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I have actually two questions on the purport, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The first question is that it is said that if we are feeling enough determination, we just need to act in Krishna consciousness, for Krishna, and it feels like it's said you need to give up all the other duties. Mm-hmm. And some people may think, okay, now
Sounds scary.
I'm done with my family, with my duty, with my job. I just need to focus on that, and how to act properly in this, like how to not make mistakes in here, because that's not what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
And the second question was...
Well, maybe I could just go for that one first. So, the idea that if one takes to Krishna consciousness, they could just give up everything else and they don't have any other responsibilities. Ultimately, that is the case, and one can do that, but one should not do that artificially. If one does that artificially, then that is, that's not good. But generally, the path is that wherever one is in their life, they are generally people are in a similar spot, right? People, they take birth, they get some education, they grow up, they get married, they have children, they have a house, they build up their property and their money and all of that. And then they live like that with their family onwards. That's generally people's path, 99.9. I mean, of course, there's variations of that, but generally that's what people do. So if one's in that situation, then they don't have to give up that path. But the idea is that they could stay in their situation, but they just hear about Krishna. Means hear from Bhagavad Gita, hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, chant Hare Krishna. And in that way, they learn how to dedicate everything they have, even though someone may think that it can't be done in a household setting, but they learn how to dedicate everything they have to Krishna. So that's there.
Okay, thank you. So no need to give up right away.
No.
Thanks. And the second question was, it said that once you start to act for Krishna, if he's satisfied, automatically everybody around you is satisfied. But if you start doing that and you can see your family is not satisfied or whoever is around you are not satisfied, does it mean we do something wrong? Or maybe it's not pure enough? Or what's the problem in here?
It's an interesting question. Yeah, because sometimes we see that people, they take to Krishna consciousness and their family is not happy. They become angry. They become offensive, this, that. And I've seen a number of devotees deal with that. Luckily myself, I didn't deal with that. So, I mean, you would think I maybe would have to because I joined at an early age of 18 years old. So next year will be my 20-year mark in this temple. Yes, please give me your blessings, good wishes. So, but you'd think that my parents would maybe be upset, I joined so early, but luckily they weren't. But I've seen some parents very angry, very upset. But still, I've seen that devotees who continue with the process of Krishna consciousness very seriously and sincerely, their parents do become pleased with them because they see my son or my daughter has such wonderful qualities, they're impressed by them. And sometimes that may not happen. That might take some time. I mean, sometimes people are stubborn, but sometimes it may take literally very long time. But we do see that a devotee who is seriously and sincerely engaged in Krishna consciousness does become pleasing to people in general.
Okay, thank you. As I understand correctly, we just need to basically do what we do and purify ourselves with step by step. And once we develop ourselves, everything is going to be settled.
Yes, and even if someone doesn't seem like they're pleased, there's what's on the surface. There's the mental fog or the mental mind and false ego and all of that. But going past the mind and the false ego and the intelligence and all of that directly to the soul, then you say deep down inside the soul, they are happy. So,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. Any other? Yes. Yep. You might have to press that button.
Yes, you're talking about resolutions. One of the obvious reasons we're unable to keep them is the concept of Maya. Maya is a force like gravity. I was reading about gravity. How it doesn't pull you like a magnet. It persuades you in. It doesn't pull like a magnet. And I think Maya is much the same. It just persuades you away from Krishna and the things you want to do. Toward materialism.
Yeah.
That's what Maya does. Yes.
Yeah, Maya or illusion, that's true. Maya may distract us. Srila Prabhupada was asked one time, why is Maya so strong? And then he was asked that question. And then his answer was, because your determination is weak. It's a very interesting answer. So if we develop our determination, then we see how powerful it is. Determination in Krishna consciousness. Another time, Srila Prabhupada wrote to a disciple that you say that you have so many obstacles in your path. But he said, with one kick of my boot, of course Prabhupada, he would use this terminology, but we know Prabhupada generally didn't wear boots, but this is a terminology he would use. He said, with one kick of my boot, I could clear so many obstacles. And then he said, provided you follow my instructions. So yeah, if we strengthen our determination, if we follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, or spiritual master, or spiritual teachers, then those obstacles will go away. And ultimately, Maya is there to test people, to test us. How sincere are we? How serious are we do we want to disturb Krishna, or do we want to serve Krishna? So that's the idea. But anyways, thank you. It's true. Thank you. I think Eddie, you had something? Okay. Sorry, making you wait for so long. Any other question or comment? Yes.
So, whatever I know of Bhagavad Gita is growing up in India and understanding what Gita is about. And in my understanding, what I learned about Gita is that God is telling a human, which is Arjun, is do the best you can do what you do. So you are a warrior. Okay, thank you. So God is telling the human, Krishna, that the whole idea of Gita is do what you do the best you do. Because if you are trained as a killer or a warrior, you kill. Whether it's you like it or not, that's your life. I mean, Arjuna otherwise has everything in his life like any other human would. So to me, it tells you, be the best human you can be, to do whatever you do. Rest of the life is just around you, and you need to do each in that relationship. And if you, and at least in Hindu culture, Ramayana tells you how to be best in every relationship you have, whether it's your father, it's your brother, whether it's your wife. And I think, and maybe I have not read Bhagavad Gita, but that's my view of Gita, that God is telling human to do the best you can be.
Yeah. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, he begins his teachings, Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara tata dehantara praptidiras tatra namuyati. And then he continues to describe the different aspects of the soul. So it says that as the embodied soul continuously passes in childhood from childhood to youth to old age, similarly the soul passes onto another body at the time of death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So there's the principle of reincarnation. But he's describing different characteristics of the soul. Najayate mrite va kadachan. There's no birth, there's no death for the soul, and so on. So that's the beginning, explaining that who we are. And then throughout Bhagavad Gita, he explains that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is God, as we hear from the Bhagavad Gita, and he explains that the nature of the soul is to have a relationship with God, and that relationship is based on bhakti, manmana bhava bhakto, that one should think of Krishna, worship Krishna, bow down to Krishna. He explains janma karma chame divyam evam yovati tattvataha tukta deham puno janma naitimam itisorjuna, that whoever understands my appearance and my activities in truth, upon leaving this body, they do not take their birth again in this material world, but they attain my abode. So, like that, he describes many things. And at the end, he describes sarvadhamam prityaja mame kam sharanam raja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshishami mahashuchaha, that one should surrender unto me. That's what Krishna says. Now, when we say surrender, it means one should surrender out of love. Just like a child, a baby, is fully surrendered to their parents. Or a mother, good mother, completely surrenders to her child's needs out of love. So similarly, the idea is that a devotee surrenders to Krishna out of love and devotion. And then Krishna says, I will protect such a person from all karmic reactions or sinful reactions. Do not fear. So the Javeda Prabhu, you want to say something? He has something to say. We'll let him continue.
I remember when I first read the Bhagavad Gita and I came to the end of chapter 11, which is about the universal form. And I read this verse, the translation, and then right near the beginning of the purport, like the third sentence, Prabhupada says, therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, what does this verse say? Mat karma mat paramo. My dear Arjun, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So it's not just that one should work according to one's propensity, that's certainly there, but the point is that the fruits are meant to be given to Krishna. We be conscious of him, and that this is part of his mission. That's the whole point, is that Krishna is convincing Arjuna to actually do his natural work of fighting for me. Arjuna did not want to fight because he had to kill. He didn't want to even think about killing Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya. You know the whole beginning of the Gita. But Arjuna said, no, you do your duty, but do the results for me, and then it'll be complete success. It's not just that work in your dharma and perfectly, and that's it. But that dharma has to be done with Krishna in mind, that this is pleasing to Krishna. He wants me to do it. That's the idea.
Yeah, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna come again 500 years ago. He explains that there's generally 4 goals of human life: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So to be religious, dharma, artha, to have some economic development, kama, to fulfill one's desires based on that economic development. As my friend's mother would say, romance without finance is a nuisance. Or like one of our grandmothers would say, telling her daughter, after knowing the financial status of her maybe husband or thinking of husband, she told her that, honey, it's just as easy to love a rich man than it is a poor man. So, anyways, Dharma, Artha, Kama, fulfilling desires through economic development, and moksha, liberation. So, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that there's a fifth goal, that prema pumarta mahan, that means the love for Krishna, or love for God. So that's the fifth goal. So, yes, ultimately that's the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita, to, establish that relationship. So, yes, Dhanvari, we have a mic for Dhanvari. Thank you for your question. Thank you for your comment. And yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. When you mentioned that we have to have a prema punartho, the love of God, would you talk about how do we create the love of God, and what is the process, and
Yes.
slowly, how do
Sure.
we come to that stage?
Sure.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
There's a verse, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhikabanoi Shravana Rishuddha Chitte Koridoi, that Krishna, love for Krishna, is eternally established in the hearts of all living entities. And by hearing and chanting about Krishna, means hearing the message of Bhagavad Gita, and then there's the life of Krishna. This is the Bhagavatam. It's a book after Bhagavad Gita. There's Krishna's pastimes. By hearing and chanting about Krishna, one's love for Krishna is awakened. So this is the process, or as Prahlad Maharaj would say, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, that there's 9 processes of devotional service: to hear about Krishna, to chant about Krishna, to remember Krishna, and so on. So by engaging in those processes of devotional service, then our love awakens. And as Srila Prabhupada would say sometimes, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu means hearing and chanting about Krishna. And then he would add, and not some politician. So if we hear and chant too much about politicians, I'm not sure what the result is. But if we hear and chant about Krishna, then the result is love for Krishna. It's a huge science of bhakti. We have a book. You could get the book in the gift shop, Nectar Devotion, The Complete Science of Bhakti Yoga. But that's, All right, any other question, comment? Or is everybody completely satisfied in relation to questions and comments? All right. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All right. Governor, you want to make an announcement?